So anyway, all right, look here. If you live in Defiance, Ohio, you definitely need to pay attention to this and hear me out. I had that video uploaded. I took it down. I put the same one back up, but I wanted to add some things to it and say something for a minute. One, what's going on here? Okay, what's happened here is I don't want to sit here and assume it's connected because it could be coincidence, right? But it seems awful strange to me because of the stuff they've been pulling on me and trying to take me down, trying to make life hard on me. It seems funny that a couple of days after I started going over to borrow my mom's shower, suddenly her water gets messed with. And I'll put that up in a minute. What's up, everyone? More corruption in Defiance right now. So I come over to my mother's house to use the shower, and first time in I don't know how many years, they found some excuse to shut off her water, right? So I go to come over, hey, can I borrow your shower? She says, yeah, no problem, right? So I go to get in the shower and the water don't work. So I ask her about it. Oh, what do you mean they shut it off? So she calls them up, whatever the deal, got it, argued with them. They come out to turn it back on, right? And I'm gonna show you here, this thing right here. They come out here and I watched them out the window, and they come out here with their tool and busted the water line. Water started coming up all over the place, right? So my mother calls them back. I told her, I said, hey, your water's working. And I was getting ready to jump in the shower, and I turned on the water. It was all yellow and stuff. So I come out here to double check and see these guys out here still screwing around with it. And then I see the water pouring up out of this thing here, where they do the thing at. And that's what, so they shut the water, then when they tried to fuck with it, they broke it, is what happened, right? And so my mother calls them back and says, hey, my water's still not on, what happened here? And they said, oh yeah, well, they noticed there was a broken pipe. You got to call a plumber to fix that, right? She's got to call a plumber to fix what they broke, what the city water department broke on their end. And they're telling her that she's without water unless she calls the fucking plumber and pays a plumber to fix it. So I told her, so when she was on the water department, I told them to screw off, and they hung up on her. And now, so we got the police coming here. We're making a report. I'm gonna show you guys how to take care of this shit. We're sick and tired of it. Here's police. We'll see what happens here. But here's what we need to pay attention to. One, I'm gonna put some stuff up later. I'm gonna run for mayor, and they're gonna try to stop me. So get ready for write-in ballots. And if you guys give a shit around here, then you need to consider right now. I'll take the mayor's spot. We'll get Mike McCann out of there. We need to get him out of there. We need to change everything in this city. The city water department is corrupt and is screwing a lot of people over. And the short time that I had the original video up, I was already contacted by several people, and two of them had the same exact thing happening where the city, I'm sure there's way more than that. I'm saying two people that has talked to me now. The city comes along, messes with your water at the main shut off, right? And then they break it. Okay, now the two people, several people have said about that. Okay, way more than two, but two people have said, this is not what happened here. It probably is, and then they broke it. But what happened, two other people have said they've gotten their water supposedly shut off, and turns out the water was never shut off because they can't shut off the valve, because that's how old these valves are, right? And I'm gonna show you, and I'm gonna upload the stuff. But the city water department, okay, they're running around, and this is wrong. They're running around and messing with your water, and then they break the line because they've never your tax dollars never go to update any of this stuff. They just go to, so your tax dollars never go to update any of this stuff. It just goes to, they invest it where they want to invest it, where they feel like it's needed. And the truth is that most of this water system through here is old, and okay, you're paying all this money to the water department, and it's shit water anyways. It's not safe to drink. Even if you go, You go to the courthouse right now and they got the main water fountain shut off. You go to the municipal court, same thing, water shut off. You go to the city buildings and those water fountains are shut off. They just say out of order, nobody's saying why. Well, if anyone pays attention, every so many months they send out these warnings. The water is not safe. So you're drinking shit fucking water and they're charging you all this money for it, and then they're damaging your stuff and don't want to pay it. And that's what happened. My mom's like almost 70 years old and has some serious health issues, and water is a necessity, and they cut her water off, and we'll get to that. But when they fucked with it, they shouldn't have. And they had the money. They had, what the bill was a little bit late, but they had the money before they shut it off, and they still shut it off and then charged her more to turn it back on. When they turned it back on, they broke the water line. They broke the main line, and now they're telling her it's her responsibility. They're telling her to pay a plumber, and that's why I showed where I'll show it again or whatever, where the little thing is where they get down to it. It's between the sidewalk and the road. That's their responsibility. They're telling her it's her responsibility. They're the ones that broke it. You broke it, you fix it. So that's one thing another thing I want to point out is I always tell people, don't call the police, don't call the police. Well, this is a little bit of exception, and I did it to prove right now. So I told her, she's like, well, what am I supposed to do now? I said, well, screw them, because she was talking to the lady on the water department, and I was there, so she had it on speakerphone, and the lady was being a smart ass to my mom, being condescending to her and everything else. So I said, hey, you listen here, you guys broke this, you get out here and fix it now. And she hung up. Okay, the lady hung up on her, and because of that. So I told my mother, I said, you call the police right now and make a report. Okay, and now my point about that is, if you call the police on me or I call the police on you, somebody's going to jail or somebody's getting in trouble, getting charges or something, right? So she calls the police, they show up, and of course, this is what I'm talking about. This is where you don't matter, but they all matter and protect each other. Because the officer, and I'm not going to try to blame the officer himself or whatever, it's policy or whatever it is, but he says, oh, well, you just have to take this to court and it's probably not worth it. Okay, so first of all, I cut out on the video, I took out the part where I show where the cop shows up, but I didn't, the conversation that was mostly between him and my mother, and I just was there for support for my mother. But the thing is, I don't want her, to protect her privacy, because I'm running around here acting like a fool, embarrassing stuff or whatever, I guess. And so I don't want to be embarrassing people that ain't part of it. And so for my mom's privacy, I cut out the thing between her and the officer. But here's what happened. The officer says, oh, well, I said, he kept, they want to make up excuses. Well, you might have to call a plumber or whatever, but we'll look into it. And the thing is that I said, no, sir. She wants to file a criminal charge. Oh, well, we can't file a criminal charge because they had the intent to turn it on. Hold the fuck on now. If I go to your house right now and I go fuck with your water line and it breaks and I just leave and don't do nothing about it and then tell you it's your problem, I'm going to be in trouble for that, right? Why isn't the city in trouble for that? Why isn't your public servants, why aren't your people who are under oath going over to the water department that has a zillion employees? You walk in there and they got 6 to 10 women in that office doing what? What are they all doing? Nothing, okay? And then you watch the city employees, and I'm not trying to blame all the employees. The ones that work in the office are bitches, That's just what they are. And they act like they're above and better than everybody. But now you got the other employees that work for them, and they just drive around in their trucks most of the day. Ain't much going on. They ain't doing much. But I'm not blaming the employees, personally. But I'm going to tell you right now, I watched 2 guys on one bar bust that pipe. I watched it because I was over there to borrow a shower, and that's how we found out it wasn't working, right? And I watched them bust it, and the water come flowing out all over the road. Now they're telling her it's not. And there's where we all need to stick together, especially against the water department. Everybody needs to pay attention to this and stick together with it. The water department is corrupt. Defiance County is corrupt. Defiance City is corrupt. And this is bullcrap. You're expecting a senior with health problems and not much money to go and pay a plumber, and as I show you where the spot is, they'll have to dig that up. They'll have to dig that up. Probably the sidewalk and everything else is going to be expensive. This is the responsibility of the water department, and they're refusing to do anything about it. So, you know, I'll show another video later. We're going to get all of these officials out of there, and we're going to get fresh faces in there. Anyone that wants a spot, city council, sheriff, judge, whatever. I'm gonna go for the mayor spot. So anyone else, get a hold of me, and we're gonna do this. But look, here's the thing. I want you to pay attention to what's going on in this video, and it's important for everybody. This is what they're doing to people, and it's not right. They busted her water line, and now my mother, senior with health problems, is without water. And when is she ever going to get water? When is she going to be able to afford to pay a plumber to dig all that shit up and fix it that they broke, that the city water department broke? And it is on the city. It's on the other side of the sidewalk. It's the city's problem, and they're telling her it's her problem, and nobody wants to do nothing about it. And then when you call the police, and that was my whole point, it's useless to call the police, because the only time you should is when it's against them and against the city. Oh, but they say, oh, well, yeah, because they're not going to go after their own, right? So, you know, the rest of these cops and everybody else, they can fuck off, because they're not honoring their oath. If he was honoring his oath, he would go down to the city department and say, hey, you guys damaged this, you get over there and fix it. You damaged it, you fix it. You broke it, you fix it. You broke it, it's your problem, right? It's not the innocent woman's problem, that it's not her problem, that she should have to fix it and pay for it and everything else, when they came there and broke it. And they came there, they shouldn't have shut it off to fucking begin with. And that's the truth. That water ain't been shut off in who knows how long. So the valve wouldn't move, and they tried to claim that, they noticed a leak when they turned it off, and that ain't true, because, you know, half hour later they came over to turn it on. There was no water anywhere. It wasn't until I watched two guys on one pole, way too much strength, forced that valve, and they broke it. And now she's out of water because they're telling her it's her problem. So anyways, I'm gonna put the video up here, and you know, we need to pay attention. Defiance especially, but everywhere. This, you know, probably happened everywhere right here in Ohio. But Defiance, Ohio, these officials, we need to get rid of them, and we need results. Just like my stuff right now. The sheriffs are responsible for the theft of all my property. I have the same clothes. I ain't allowed to change my clothes because I ain't got access to my clothes. I have nothing because the sheriff's department stood there and allowed the theft of my property and forced me to leave and won't tell me where my stuff is. They're gonna wait until whatever storage place wants money. I should have to pay to get my own stuff out. You know, this is the kind of shit that's going on here. Anyways, I'm gonna leave the video up to this about the whole water issue. This is what's going on in Defiance. We need to get rid of these people. Anyway, this here where the blue flag is, that little thing there, which is broke, I can just lift it right out of the ground. I'll show that later in the video. All of this, right here's the sidewalk, right here's the road, and the water's coming out right here. This is city responsibility. This is their fault, and they broke it. Up here, past the sidewalk, there's no water, okay? But a lot of this is gonna have to be dug up to fix that, right? And they're expecting my mom to pay for that when they're the ones that broke it. What's up, everyone? What a messed up day, you know? It seems funny that I go over to my mother's house to borrow the shower, right? Funny thing is, she claims maybe she was a little bit behind on the bill, but they got the money today, right? This morning. And they shut off the water anyways. Now, the thing is, she's gotten like that a few times, where it's gotten a few days behind or whatever, but she always gets it before the shut off date. She always gets it turned in, and the water's never been shut off. Now suddenly, you know, like I said, they're watching me, and is it related? I don't know. Looks kind of suspicious to me. Suddenly, you know, I'm in my situation and I need to find some place to shower. Of course, I'm not gonna go without a shower, so I've been coming over, mostly borrowing my mom's shower. Once in a while somebody else's, but mostly my mom's. And so I go over and borrow the shower every morning. And today was one of those days I stopped. It's all right, I use your shower. I always ask her to make sure, And she says, yeah, no problem. I go to get in there. I go to shut on the water. And there's no water, right? And so, of course, I tell my mom, I say, hey, your water's not working. What's going on? Oh, they must have, what? They should have that money. Why? So whatever, right? So she calls them up. And the lady says, she calls the water department up, and I had a video up. It had some bad sound quality, so I hope maybe I didn't delete it. I don't know. I'll check, and if I'll get it back up or put it back to viewable, if it's still there. Where I had problems with the water department. These people, Defiance City is corrupt. Defiance County is corrupt. It just is corrupt, and everybody knows it. And so, anyway, so she calls them up and says, hey, what's going on? Did you guys not get my payment? My water was shut off. Something like that, And so the lady says, oh, well, hold on, let me check, or whatever. And she checks the account and says, oh, yeah, your payment is there. We got your payment. So my mother tells them, well, my water's shut off. And, oh, well, we can get that turned back on for you. It's going to cost whatever the deposit was. And then now she's got to pay more to get it turned on. Whatever. So she ends up doing that. And they come out to turn it back on, and they bust the pipe. First of all, they shouldn't have shut it off. My mom's a senior with severe health problems. Water is a necessity, and they didn't have a right to shut it off anyways. Furthermore, the money was there in time, and they had it this morning, and they chose anyways to shut it off, right? That's just wrong. But it is what it is. And so she calls, so when they show up, because of course I was there waiting to borrow a shower. That's the whole reason we found out the water was off. And so they said they come out to turn it on, and I see them pull up out there, and I see them turn it on. So I go to use the water. I turn it on, looking yellow and stuff. I'm like, well, I'll let it run for a few minutes. As I'm letting it run, I go out to, see what's going on out there, where they was right out in the front. They had the thing in the ground where they put the pole down there and turn it on and off. And I watch, and the water's running, and it's yellow. Everything's fine, but it's, that a lot of times happens. It's nasty water, and it's not yellow all the time. But, when they first turn it off and back on, then it turns yellow. And it was yellow. So, but it was running, right? So, but meanwhile, I'm letting it run to let the yellow run out of it, and and I go to take a look out the window there, and you can see them still out there messing with the thing, right? It's a pole that goes down on the ground. It's a T on the top, and it fits down in there on the thing, and they gotta twist it, right? Well, I'm watching these guys put 2 guys on this pole trying to twist that. They broke it. And so I'm watching, and the guy pulls a tool out, and the other guy jumps back, and water starts pouring up out of the ground where they put the tool in the ground at. And water's pouring out of the ground out onto the road. And but the water was still running in the house. So I looked over to my mom and said, you know, I don't know what they did out there, but there's water running all over the ground. But I'm gonna hurry up, jump in the shower in case they try to shut back off again, right? So by the time I get over to the shower, they done shut it off and took off. So I go back out to the front. Water's all over the road out in front, and the 2 workers that were there are long gone. Then suddenly they put, at some point they put a thing on the door, said we found a leak, and they're lying. They said they found a leak when they on the note said they found a leak when it was shut off, and she'll have to call a plumber. Now this ain't true, because if that was true, when she told them to get it turned back on, they would have said, well, we can't do that because we found a leak. Okay, that ain't what happened. What happened was I watched it, and too bad I didn't have the camera. Who thinks to have the camera for that? Nobody thinks anything's going to happen, right? And I'm not putting 2 and 2 together yet. But come to find out, her water's never been shut off all this time until I start using it. The last few days I've been stopping over in the morning to use the shower, and they've been watching everything I do. Am I seeing this wrong? Every which way I turn, they're nailing me with something, so they're making it harder on me. So now my mom pays the price because I went over to borrow her shower, so I gotta try to find a place to shower where nobody knows, so that they ain't fucking people over. I mean, that's what it looks like to me, right? And I watched these 2 dudes, 2 guys on this tool twisting that thing. You obviously over twisted it. You obviously put too much pressure on it and you broke it. So she calls them back. She calls the water department back and says, hey, you guys came out here and shut my water off, messed with my water, and now it's not working again. And the lady tells her, oh, first act like she didn't know what she was talking about, then tells her, oh yeah, well, they found a leak, and but it's on the property owner's side, so you're gonna have to call a plumber to get that fixed. So they broke the pipe. The water department, their employees broke the pipe, but they're telling my mom she has to pay to fix it. I don't think so. So I told her, I said, just call the police and make a report. Of course, that's not gonna, you'll see some of the video that if it turned out, but of course that's not gonna fix the problem. But I told my mom, I said, you call the police, and this way you get a report made, because otherwise you're just what? And of course the cop says, well, you know, this is a matter for the court, and you're probably not gonna win, right? Obviously, especially if they know she's connected to me. She ain't gonna win the she ain't gonna be able to win in court over this, right? What a scam. This is what's going on in Defiance County, Ohio. And if I can, I'll get my visit to the water department, where they owe me like almost $300 or something like that. They owe me almost $200, whatever it is. It's in that other video, but they're trying to claim I owe them money. This place is a scam. You can't call the mayor. He ain't gonna do nothing about it. We're gonna get this. You vote for me for mayor when it's time, and I'll make sure these kind of problems don't happen. And I'll make sure if the city causes a problem, they will fix it. Right now, I'm stopping here to grab a case of water for my mother to drop off to her, because she's gonna need water. She can't survive without water. And right now she can't use her shower, can't use her toilet. None of that stuff, because the city broke the water and they refused to fix it. Anyways, what do you guys think? Am I wrong? Am I looking too much into this? Nothing back there. That car trying to back up. Anyway, right? Is it connected? Is it they're gonna make life hard on me as much as they can, and anyone who tries to be supportive of me is gonna pay the price here in Defiance County? You know, my mom's a little naive sometimes, and she thinks the best in everyone and tries to believe these public servants are good people. And I don't know, what's your thoughts? To me, it just, every which way I turn, shit's just adding up, you know? I asked my mom, I said, how many times have now I'm getting concerned. Look, is something going on here? What can I do? How often does this happen that they shut your water off? She says, they don't usually shut my water off, right? I said, well, when was the last time they shut the water off here? They've never shut it off since she's been there, as far as she knows, right? And, so I'm like, okay, so how often do you get behind on your bill? Oh, well, it's not usually, it's just within a few days, she tells me. And it's always been that way. She's like, how her money turns out or whatever, that's how it, and they've never shut it off. Well, it's awful strange that just a few days after I start coming over to use your shower, been the last few days I've been doing that, and now all of a sudden, right here in town, of course, there's no hiding from anybody, right? So, suddenly, now they're fucking with your water. Now they're finding a reason to shut it off, and now suddenly the pipe broke, and I don't know what all I can say about that, but I watched with my own two eyes, and man, I wish I would have realized it was going to go down like that. I would have made sure I had the camera. Who thinks about that, something like that, right? I was trying to get in the shower, and but I watched these two guys right out here in the front. I'll show the thing on the one video where they do it at. They even got it marked with a flag, and it's marked on their side because they knew it was their problem. And so, these two guys come put all their strength, two dudes on, it only takes one person, right? But they got two guys putting their strength on it, and they busted it. Busted the freaking valve, whatever, right where they turn it on and off. That's where the water's pouring out all over the street now that now it's shut off completely. And the water was running into the house. So I have a hard time believing that it's busted on the house side, because the water was still coming into the house, no problem, right? But no, they broke it, and now they're expecting her to fix their problem. And until then, and they're refusing to do it, and until then, there's no running water at my mom's house now. Now, where do I go next and see to prove that this is what's going on? No, I'm not going to put them kind of problems on people. This is what they're doing. This is what happens because I'm taking a stand against them, and every which way I turn, it don't matter. They're making it harder and harder on me. So this is the water thing, as you can see here, and they got it marked. We put a mark there and a mark there to tell which direction that pole is supposed to be, right? A mark there and a mark there, and that tells them which direction the pole should be. And this thing here, they got to loosen that up and then take this off. But look, it's broke. It just pops right out of there. That is broke. Stripped out, actually, and then so you can't see down in there. There's no way they could know if it's, you cannot see down in there. Hold on a minute.